Guys, all right, so as you've noticed, my motor is out of my 370Z. um it took me, I want to say it took me 4 days total to get the car out. What I have to do, one thing I had to do was, I had to take the drive shaft out, which meant I had to take the tailpipes out. I had to take all this BS out. I had to take the whole front of the car off, hood off, all that good stuff. All just this craziness of parts I had to take apart. Um, it's doable. But you definitely need a hoist. You definitely want a leveler, because that helped me get it out. If you're working with a twin turbo setup, so if you ran into problems that I ran into, it's going to be difficult to get it out. All right. And mind you, I'm going to tell you straight up, this is the first time I've taken a motor out of any type of car. But I'm pretty mechanically inclined. I've done a lot of stuff to this car before that. But this is just this is the encore presentation of all the other crap that I've done. But you see, I've taken everything apart all the way down to drivetrain. Of course, with patience, and if you label all your parts and throw them in there that you're taking off the car, or just screw them back in the locations that they were, it's not going to be a hard situation. Taking that out, dude, nobody told me how to take that out. So, headlights just kicking back on my chair there. But you can take the stick shift out without taking the knob off. I mean, you just pop it right out. And I need to get this screw, because if I lose this screw, I'm in shits. Alright. But literally, I just took it out backwards. One of the other things is, you got to be comfortable with wanting to rip all your grommet stuff out and thing, so that you can get the ECU out. For me, I have a lot of aftermarket wires going on here, so it really made life difficult to try to get it out with the grommet intact. So yeah, I mean, there was a lot of considerations, like a lot of extra piping, like my fuel return system and all that. But look, I label everything. Just label all the stuff that you're disconnecting from the car. If you take it out with the ECU, no, you don't have to remove a whole shit ton of stuff, because it's already on the car. But, like, for example, throttle body, yeah, it's going to hook up to the throttle body, like that kind of stuff. Easy Japanese. Okay, you're going to ask, well, why'd you take the engine out? Here's the answer. So you see these little X's that I made, and you see those. I mean, those are gouges. I don't know how to show you. Those are gouges. I started banging that out a little bit, so you're seeing a little bit of bang out there, but that wasn't there before. Those are straight up gouges coming from my wastegate, which is not entirely like weak piece of equipment, but it's not meant to be handling the torque of a motor against against the chassis. Here needs to get hit too. Here needs to get hit just so I could get the engine in and out. Same up here, because it was getting caught right there, so I started banging that. But anyways, so what am I talking about? So anybody doesn't know what a wastegate is, or all that fun, that this is a wastegate. This was literally eaten into the side. I mean, I don't know if you could see where it was. I mean, it's just eaten into the side. And same here. This was just eaten into the side of the freaking car. Now, and you'll notice there's a screw missing there. And you'll notice that's loose. That's not by design. I didn't do that. And then there's one missing. I actually had put two screws there to lock it in. But because this is all bent out of shape, you see there's a weld there. That weld will snap if this thing torques over too much. So I went ahead and bent it back a little bit, because this thing should almost have play. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it should be able to do something like this. So, yeah. So you're going to ask, well, okay, that's great. How'd you know this was all messed up? Well, because you hear that? That's the wastegate hitting the entry or the port or whatever the hell you call it, right? Normally, when a turbo goes out, that's called turbo rattle, and that means all the gears and shit, or the just the, whatever the mechanism is getting loose and getting tired. But this is relatively a brand new turbo, and so if it's loose, see now you don't hear it because it's a new turbo. But what was happening is that this guy was getting loose, so it was just shaking here, getting loose, and just giving that all the free play it wanted. So yeah. On the other side, it wasn't. So that also led me to believe that this was touching the side. It was vibrating everything to shit, and it was just all going backwards. And this, I don't know if you can see the gap in there. Maybe you can. Hell if I know. I saw it before, but yeah. Another screw backed out. Or they didn't install it with a screw. I mean, I don't know. The installers are kind of garbage, in my opinion. So, these hoses, these are ones that I just put on. The ones that were on here before were a hodgepodge of hoses. It was just, and one of these just basically broke apart in my hand. So, I mean, just let your imagination run wild with how far I could get with this car. Had I not done that. So, having the problems that I had with the install. Well, by the way, the solution to this shit not hitting the wall is basically this guy right here. This will save your life. Why? Because you bang that shit out, and now all of a sudden that space is you've got enough space for this to kind of, pass through without touching. It doesn't have to be a lot, right? Because the engine torques. If you're going to leave those in, you definitely want a lot of space, right? And you're going to add, oh, by the way, so I'm resting this on jacks, even though they're kind of like cockeyed in position the way they are, is because I'm not leaving those on. I'm going to be putting these on. This is another protection against this shit torquing over and hitting the wall. I don't want it hitting the wall. People are like, well, don't put solid mounts, put poly mounts, or just buy new ones. No, you can't. You can't buy these anymore once you turbo your car. These are going to get fucked. Poly mounts are good from Z1, but I got these I got the solid ones because I just don't want to fuck around anymore. Like, I'm not going to be pulling my motor out every year or every 6 months or every whenever to fix a new problem related to this hitting the side of the thing. And then this is another thing that I did. Anybody's tried putting these on when it's on the car? If you're before you take your turbo kit to wherever to get it installed, have this done first, or do it yourself, or have somebody do it. I just finished doing it today. It took me 2 hours just to do this one side. The other side I've yet to do because, well, this is not enough. I literally need more. So, and I need more of these straps. So this strap I'm leaving loose because I might collar this a little bit with some of that shit once I put that screw in. But I mean, it's up for debate because maybe I want to watch those if they back out again, or if that backs out again. So, and the other ones are kind of loose, so I gotta check that out too. I mean, my life. So, oh yeah, so hoisting your motor. I saw another guy do it on the 370z.com and do it this way, and shit, well, it's worked out for me. But me being paranoid, I went ahead and put one of these as a safety. This is a 6.5 footer. Same with that one. So I put it in as a safety to make sure I don't, if this invention right here doesn't fucking work, it's, I'm not gonna lose the thing's not gonna fall into the fucking ground. It might. I don't know. I try to make sure I didn't crunch anything, but when you're underneath a car and this thing's installed in the car, getting this to do this right here, what I did, without biting anything, is a fucking mission. So just heads up on that. This one was fairly easy, but I had to snake it up through the back, which, well, you can find the space to do it. But this is how you want to do it. You don't want to noose tie it, because you just have way too much slack, and then you can't solve your issues that way. So look, if you're gonna do this, if you're gonna do what I did, I'm kind of saying you really want to make sure you got thread locker and go back and thread lock every fucking thing that you see that might come loose is loose. Back it out and bring it back in. I mean, there's some things you don't have to, like these hose lines, man, they didn't leak, so I'm not fucking with them. So that means they're just tight, and fittings normally don't pop off. Not that I'm aware of. But change your hoses, 100% change your hoses. Even if you got good ones, put new ones on. I mean, the engine's out, dude. Fucking change whatever you can. This, I think, is gonna be a lifesaver. The silicone that I had coming out of here was touched here and singed a bit of that silicone. It's up in the air whether I want to replace that or not, because it wasn't at the collar, it was just outside of it. But yeah, I think this is a good way to go. And I'm going to be doing the down pipes also. I've got, Amazon should be dropping that off soon, so I can do that tonight or tomorrow or whatever. But if I don't know what else to tell you. I don't know if I showed you the transmission, to be honest. I don't remember. Yeah, so this is tomorrow's project. As you can see, there's just no fucking clearance for this kind of stuff. And this is space you need to make, because I was eating up the fucking aluminum right there. This stuff doesn't stick out far enough, so it's never an issue. But that, definitely an issue. Yeah. So, if you're wondering, so what did I use for this fucking Harbor Freight bullshit? I basically have it on this notch right here. That's far enough to keep it away from this going underneath here, because that actually happened for me. Because I was one notch back, I was being like too safe. And to put the motor back, I'm definitely going to want to bring the sleeve as close as possible, because if not, I'm not getting the engine back in. Where did I start? So when I started, I basically, I pulled out all the front, emptied out all the fluids, and, just took everything out the front of the car. Took the battery out, all the plastics, everything I could think of, right? Trying to make sure, because I always kept looking around to see what was missing. These are the ones you won't miss. That you will miss. These here. So these are your I'm not mistaken, those are your heater core in and outs. So but there's where was it? I think there was one down here that I missed. This one, you gotta fucking take that off. What are the fluids that you need to drain? The fluids that you're definitely gonna need to drain are your power steering, your oil, so it's up in the air how much. Well, I think you need to drain your transmission fluid, because if not, you get a big ass mess like I had. Because when you start to tilt your motor to bring it out, it just starts to leak out the drive shaft. So, that's about it. I don't know if I brought you in here, but yeah. So obviously you got to take the ECU out. This was easier than I thought, believe it or not. I thought I was going to have to fucking take that off, and I didn't. Yeah. So, it seems like a lot of work, and there's a lot more there's more parts in the space shuttle on this fucking car. But when it's out, I mean, there's so much room for activities. Getting it in is going to be another story. And, well, that's it for me.